What do you think of the intro then?
It's actually given me nightmares because I was in a band just like that.
As head of performing arts, do you think you'd be proud of that school orchestra?
Well, at least they had an orchestra, I suppose.
In that sense, better than our school orchestra.
Yes,
just by existing.
Absolutely. By sheer dint of its own existence. Yeah.
Anyway, probably best to get on with the show now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, hello and welcome to Ben and James Could Do Better, a journey through the world of secondary education from the perspective of a man called Ben and a different man called James. If you work in a secondary school, you can actually cite this as evidence of your ongoing continuous professional development. Except that unlike most CPD sessions, this won't be excruciatingly dull. As this is a podcast about schools, it only seems right that I call the register.
Right.
James, well, yes, that's me. I'm here. Ben.
Present.
Excellent. Right, that's that bit done.
Yeah,
it's going well, isn't it?
Yeah, brilliant.
So, how's your week been, Ben?
I'd say fair to middling is probably about where it's topped out for me.
Excellent. Now, it does say in the script that I've written, vaguely alluding to, that you're supposed to ask me about my week. So if you could do that, that'd be...
Well, I'm not really bothered about your week, but I will ask you, how's it been?
Well, as you know, I'm the father of 2 young daughters. So mainly this week's been spent fighting my internal monologue regarding screen time. As a professional educator, I know that I need to reduce their screen time and encourage conversation. As a dad, I know that when I give them screen time, I can enjoy a beer in peace. Okay. So that's been my week. And most weeks, truthfully. Now, it's fair to say we don't know much about making a podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
We have broadly agreed on a format for this one, which is that I, James...
Yeah, you're James.
I am James. I will deliver something of a lesson to you, Ben, possibly referencing the lesson framework.
Well, I hope you don't expect me to be a well-behaved student.
I will be using the rewards and consequences ladder, so just please remember this is the I do bit of the show. We will move on to the we do and the you do later. I don't want to issue you with a C1 before we've even got going.
No. They're a waste of time, the C1s, anyway, I find.
Well done. If you do focus during this bit, though, I might be able to give you a postcard.
Oh.
Look, I've even got one. It's from the Reading Museum gift shop. And it's a picture of the fake Bayeux tapestry that they have on display there. So it's a lot to play for. But for this bit, I do have to insist on one voice. It's not I say, you say. It's I say, and you don't say anything.
Well, that's going to be almost impossible, but go on.
Okay, so you've interrupted me there already, so I'm going to have to write your name on the board. Today's lesson objective, or WALT, is how to make a podcast. Because we don't know how to do that, we're not subject experts. But like all non-specialists, I'm going to attempt this by being 1 page ahead of the class in the textbook.
Yeah.
So as this is 26, I'm not using a textbook. I used the How to Start a Podcast complete step-by-step guide off a website called Buzzsprout.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to know about podcasts, then Buzzsprout is the place to be. And I quite like Sprouts, actually.
I don't. I really don't.
You don't like them?
And I wouldn't read a guide either.
You wouldn't... Well, yeah, we've already established you probably wouldn't read anything. But Buzzsprout is the place to go, and its claims on its website has helped over 400,000 podcasters to start their shows, which is great.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell us how successful those shows were.
Or whether they died after one episode.
It hasn't told us that. And as we've already started, so I don't think... I do not want to be counted in Buzzsprout statistics, because we've started prior to reading their guidance.
And we will finish.
And we will finish, damn it. So I'm going to actively seek legal advice if I get even a hint that they're including us. And if their claim tomorrow is that they've helped 400,002 people start podcasts successfully, then I will be getting ChatGPT to draft me a strongly worded letter.
Absolutely.
But as I say, that doesn't mean we can afford to ignore their guidance. We need those 10 steps because, as the title of our podcast suggests, we could do better.
And we're trying to do better.
And I want us to do better.
No, we just don't know what we're doing. That's the thing.
So, without further ado, here are those 10 steps. It's not a dictation exercise, Ben, but do feel free to make notes in your exercise book as we go along.
Yeah, pen poised.
Pen poised.
What colour should I use?
Well, you're just making notes at this point. You're not. It's not part of the 4 quarters marking policy.
No.
So,
what even is that? We've had it for years, and I still don't know what it is.
Well, it's certainly don't use red or purple at this stage.
So black's okay.
Black's fine.
Right, okay.
Absolutely fine.
Yeah,
you can use black.
Fire away.
Okay. Thank you for checking. That was a perfectly... There's no such thing as a stupid question, and that certainly
Well, I
wasn't.
think there is.
Step 1 on the Buzzsprout guidance is develop a podcast concept. That's step 1. Now, I think we've done that.
Yep.
Our concept is two middle-aged men who work in a secondary school talking about working in a secondary school.
Yeah.
I appreciate we haven't actually managed that yet, but we're going to. This is only episode 1.
Yep.
So I think we've nailed the developing the podcast concept. There were some subsections to that point 1, but I'm mindful of the time. So I'm going to add some more detail in the briefing notes, if that's okay.
We're acing it so far. So we probably didn't even need this advice, actually.
No. Although I'm going to have to write your name on the board again. Well, you've written your name on the board. It's going to be a tick now next to your name.
Oh, God, what's that? Heading towards a C2?
Heading towards a C1. I'm a generous...
All right, you've backtracked.
Yeah. I'm interpreting the...
You're inconsistent.
If you were to rewind, you'd see I threatened you with a C1. I didn't actually issue a C1. We're building to the C1. I don't want to use all the weapons I've got at my disposal all at once.
It's supposed to be 5-1 reward to sanction anyway. And you haven't added any...
You haven't deserved any.
To my
you haven't
profile,
deserved any rewards yet. But we can play for an R1 if you manage to make some good notes. You're going to have some deliberate practice later on. Don't worry about that. Anyway, it does mention something about choosing a name. We've chosen the name Ben and James Could Do Better. And I don't actually think we could have done better than that.
Not with the name, anyway.
Not with the name. With everything else, potentially. Right, anyway, on step 2. We don't want to spend all day on step 1. Step 2, choose your podcast format. Right. Now, I didn't really understand this one because I thought podcast was the format. And we've chosen that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to develop my answer to that by saying it's a podcast which features a man called Ben and another man called James. Step 3.
I think we've got that.
We've got step 2. Step 3, quite a key one, I think. Set up your podcast recording equipment. Now, I think we've done that because otherwise we wouldn't be doing this.
No, that's true. But I've realised... Can you...
Yes.
Can you hear that?
Yes, that's the problematic gilet getting in the way of the microphone. So
you didn't really, you might well have been doing all this swatting up, but you didn't really give me any advice about this.
Buzzsprout didn't mention gilets, and I will feed that back to them in my strongly worded letter.
Well, look, this is the staple workwear of a lot of trust employees across the country, the old gilet underneath the...
Predominantly, I think you'll find that's the senior team that wear those. And I think really we're talking at a trust level, Well,
that's what I said.
Yes. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Was I not listening?
I don't think you were. Again, that's going down as a C1 for you, maybe.
I don't think you have the power to issue C1s in this format.
Maybe not, but I do, as any annoying student would in a class, have the ability to point out that that's maybe what you would get.
Perhaps, yes.
How unfair it is that
for pointing out that you'd like to issue me with a C1, I will do what all teachers would do in that response and issue you with a C1, just to remind you where the power balance lies. Anyway, step 4. Step 4. We've digressed again. Step 4, choose your podcast software.
Right.
Now, I actually feel that could have been incorporated in step 3. I think Buzzsprout has been a little bit lazy there. And I think they've got a lot of audacity making that a separate step. But of course, so do we, Ben, because Audacity is our chosen software. And I've watched loads of YouTube videos on how to use it. I don't actually yet know how to use it. We'll get to that hopefully at some point in the future. But
isn't this normally where you do some sort of plug for the software, but we haven't actually got anyone sponsoring us? So
no, but if Audacity did want to sponsor us, and God knows why they would, they're perfectly successful
without us.
They're basically the flagship software for doing this. But I do like the fact that I've been using YouTube videos to train myself on this, because we all love a YouTube video in a lesson plan, don't we?
Absolutely, we do, yeah.
And we really love them in the old after-school CPD sessions.
Yeah. Nothing better than listening to those adverts that come up
before, because the person who's delivering the session has forgotten that's going to happen and not factored that into the timing. Anyway, on to point 5 on Buzzsprout's guide to how to make a podcast. And point 5 is record your first episode. Yep. Well, Ben, we're already on step 5. So I think we're going to make it to the extension activity at this rate.
Wow, this is incredible.
Except I'm going to be honest with you at this point. Steps 6 to 10 are a little bit advanced for where we're at the moment. We can't edit this yet.
We're coming to a screeching halt, are we?
We are, because we can't edit it because we haven't finished making it. Can't really edit it till it's done. So we can't do step 6.
No, but you know what you're doing with that software, don't you?
No, I don't. I've watched some YouTube videos.
Oh.
So this may not make it past this. This. I was just sitting in front of some microphones.
Two men staring at each other.
I think we did set them up beautifully. I do think we've managed that. That was step 3. We've managed step 3 beautifully because I think that we've done that.
Setup. Yep.
Step 6 we can't do. We can't edit it yet, but at some point we'll get around to that. There was something about artwork. We have done the artwork. Obviously, we can't display that to anyone at the moment because this is very much an audio format. Although I imagine if you are listening to this and you're not me or Ben, then you will have probably seen, we will have done the artwork and that will be visible when you clicked on. So that will have happened. But basically, we can't do any of those steps or evaluate our success on that pathway until we finish recording this episode.
Yeah, well, that makes some sense. Thank you.
We can't finish recording this until we move from the I do into the you do.
Well, it's just struck me, actually, there's a lot of I do in this.
Well, there is, but I am trying to set you up here. I'm trying to so the I do, that's me.
Yeah.
The you do, from my perspective, that's you, although you might view it as the I do. We've missed out the we do. We're going to circle back to that. But now it is time for the unstructured part of the show. Yeah. It's time for you, Ben, to say your bit. I'm just going to set the digital timer on the whiteboard to make sure we have time for the plenary. Are you ready?
Well, I don't know, to be honest.
Let's find out, shall we? Ben, it's your time to shine.
Well, thank you, James. Well, and thanks for that, absolutely inspiring session that you've given us.
You are
there.
welcome.
We'll ignore the sanctions that have been handed out. But, I mean...
Don't ignore the sanctions, Ben. They are very serious and will be logged accordingly.
Gosh, yeah. But what happens to them afterwards, though? I don't really understand what happens.
Look, I'll be making a phone call home.
A phone call home?
Yes, at some point.
Goodness me. Thank goodness this wasn't around when I was in school. My mother would have been the end of me, honestly. In my house, it wasn't about, you wait till your father gets home. It was quite progressive if you think about it. My dad used to say, you wait until I tell your mother.
Right. That is for 1980s, early 90s sort of.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, before we settled down to the curry with the bananas around the top of the plate, which my mother thought was obviously some sort of...
I was going to say, that's not a universal reference that people are going to understand, is it?
No, but they went through this sort of, 70s phase in the 80s and 90s. I don't know. It was, anyway, dreadful. But, no, my mother would not have appreciated a phone call home.
No. And what would the consequences then have been?
Even worse sort of existence than the one I was...
Enjoying during.
I was going to say at the time, yeah. No, I didn't want a phone call home. And I was actually very good in school. I waited until the sixth form to start rebelling, and I really took off at university, let me tell you.
Excellent.
Goodness me. Anyway, but I mean, all of this podcast, I've listened to probably thousands of podcasts, and I'm just terrified. I don't want us to be one of those ones that I switch off after sort of 4 to 5 minutes.
4 to 5, not 45.
No, 4 to 5 minutes. I've started hundreds of podcasts and switched them off after 4 to 5 minutes. And I was trying, as we were thinking about, formats and everything, to think about why did I switch off? And it was normally two middle-aged men wittering at each other.
Right. Well, I can see a fundamental flaw with our setup then. Yeah. But no one else wanted to join us. It was literally... the only people available to do this podcast, this specific podcast, that was me and you.
Good news indeed. The equipment. How do you know what to buy or what's going to work? I'm going to have the first idea. What's a good microphone?
I think in our case, it was a microphone that we could afford.
Yeah, it's nice when you come in on it like that, isn't it?
We haven't gone cheap. We're using the Zoom PodTrack 4. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, no, PodTrack P4. The Zoom PodTrack P4. Described on what I can't even remember. Maybe Buzzsprout. I don't know.
They've had enough plug-in.
They've had enough plug-in. Yeah. Well, but I think described on whatever website I looked at as the Swiss Army knife of podcast recording. So that's what I was looking for. Something...
Yeah,
that would it's look. We are being recorded. That much we're clear on. We did a little demo. We did enough homework, not a lot of homework, but enough homework to do a little bit of a test recording to see if it worked before we did this actual recording, and it did seem to work.
Yeah. And I love the intro. I absolutely love the intro because that I say gave me nightmares. It did both both nice memories, but also nightmares, because I'm a musician, or was a musician when I was at school, definitely. And, oh yes, I was very proud to lead the lower school orchestra. We had a huge school, 2,500 on roll. So it was a lower school orchestra, a lower school wind band, a lower school concert wind band. And then you graduated to, guess what, upper school orchestra and wind band and choir and goodness knows what. Yes, and I was in all of that. I was up there, up the front there, really sort of leading these prestigious events, held in the upper school hall and venues like that people are no doubt very familiar with.
I mean, I can't relate at all because I wasn't in any of those things. I failed what is the test they do when you to test your tone deafness or not lack of it?
Well, they just ask you, can you sing this note normally?
No, we had to listen to these notes on
oral perception.
It was that, and it had a name, and everything began with a B. And I didn't know I was going to talk about this, otherwise I would have found that out.
You're thinking of back time in tune back in the primary school, boy.
It was something. We had to do it in year 7, and we had to listen. And and that was the only way you could get the free music lessons that the school offered. Our school was pretty good. They offered free music lessons, and the loan of you had a free school instrument.
Yeah, see, a lot of that's gone out the window. I had a wonderful time in school with music and drama. Wonderful time with it. I mean, people would say things like, we got a gun in there and all that kind of stuff as I was carrying the violin to school, the old mafia jokes,
I mean,
etc.
it'd be good if we could get that calibre of material on this podcast.
Oh, absolutely,
at some point.
If only. If only. But, and various other disparaging remarks for things that these days you would be held aloft and celebrated for.
Yeah.
Your sort of abilities in the arts are very much in, but back in those days in South Wales, definitely wasn't. But anyway, back to that sound. When you were in the lower school orchestra, it was great when you were in the upper school orchestra, because you had the head of music, who was also the conductor of the youth orchestra, the county this and the county that. So once you moved past the sort of glories of year 9 into year 10 and went to upper school, and you were in these, suddenly you'd arrived. But in the lower school, you had the old man who wasn't the head of department conducting. Right. And we would do various concerts, if you could call them that, throughout the year. And I do remember he would be very nervous about these performances, and you'd have a number of bars rest, So you might have ba, 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 And in that break, this particular teacher, God love him's gone before us, you'd get ba, 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 which it sounded like a sort of dodgy movie, but that was his nerves in the bar's rest, because we were so bad as an orchestra. So didn't know what was going to happen. He was sort of taking his life in his hands for every bar rested, whether somebody would let the slide go on the trombone or,
Right. And these things would happen.
All sorts. So, that intro for me, absolutely fantastic. We've tried all sorts of places to record this. We've tried a disused drama studio. We've tried the back of a camper van. And now we've tried where we are now, which has been embarrassing. I don't know whether I want to go into it, but...
Well, I feel you've started. It would be... Yeah.
Well, we're sort of looking at each other across a double bed.
Yeah, that is. But that is not just... I mean, that's... And I didn't get onto this in the guidance, but actually that is one of the recommendations for creating an effective studio.
What, bedroom?
A bedroom, or, well, ideally... I mean, we're not in that kind of terrain, but a walk-in wardrobe is even better. But a bedroom, because the soft furnishings apparently help reduce some of the unwanted noise.
So if you can't afford
a studio,
a Spotify studio,
a bedroom's
good.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a thing about the whole sanctions thing, but I don't know whether I want to get into that.
Well, my use of sanctions, or generally the use of sanctions.
Well, both really.
Well, I'd say kind of, don't keep your powder dry on the general use of sanctions, because that's the whole episode. We don't want to waste that now. That's potentially, that's material for using further down the line. We don't want to,
No, fair enough. But I just would say that I think really good teachers don't need to use sanctions.
Yes, and
I know.
That's controversial, and we haven't. I'd like to drill down into that. I'd like to do a deep dive on that.
We won't.
But to defend my use of sanctions in the first part, obviously, I am playing the part, so to speak, of a teacher delivering a lesson. Now, I'm not at any point professing to be a good teacher during that bit of the show. In real life, of course, I wouldn't deliver lessons anywhere. I mean, I wouldn't have done that level of preparation for starters. So, I mean, there's absolutely no way I'd be delivering sanctions to such a level if someone interrupted me. I welcome the interruptions during normal lessons.
I do. I love the
It keeps it ticking along, doesn't it? Quite nicely.
When a cheeky chappy or chappess interrupt the flow of stuff with something actually genuinely funny to say. Or with a criticism, sir, this is boring. Hang on a minute. You don't know what's round the corner in the we do.
That's. I mean, obviously, in your case, that's potentially a fair defence as well, because you obviously performing arts. There may well be something more interesting down the line.
There's no upside for a maths teacher.
There's no upside for a maths teacher. If they don't like where I've started, it's not getting better.
No, it's not.
it's going to be more of the same, I'm afraid, guys. In the deliberate practice.
Goodness. So, yeah, we'll get back to that controversy at another time. But one thing I wanted to ask you, sorry while you thinking lecturing me over here, at the start of this inaugural podcast.
Yeah.
But I want to know what's your vision for the podcast?
My vision for the podcast... Well, I think it's about secondary education. It's delivered by people who work in secondary education, because we do that. I'd like to think that people who work in any sector of education, primary or secondary, or tertiary, or early years, or even people who don't work in education, because let's be honest, we all went to school, or we all should have done, will find something of value in this. And equally, I don't want them to be bored.
No. But I'm bored in education by, the talk of vision all the time. It often comes from trusts, and I'm obviously not referring to our own, but across the country, no doubt the world, school proprietors, owners, trusts, whatever it is, have to come up with a vision. And it's usually because nobody can actually see what's happening. So what's the vision for Ben and James Could Do Better?
Well, largely that we will and could do better, arguably even this.
Well, we're going to do better than this in the next episode, as long as we
get to the end of...
lost a listener from the first.
Well, yes. And the good news is at the stage of the recording of the first episode, which isn't actually available for any consumption yet because we haven't finished recording it, we can't have lost any listeners yet. Where we are now, live, sat in this room, we can't have lost any listeners. So that's the good news.
But the vision's got to be partly to sort of entertain people... Edutain people... Who
is that a word? Is that been used before? Have I just coined that phrase right now?
I think you've just coined it. And
I think edutainment is...
there's enough jargon in teaching, but what I was going to say was, yes, we want our colleague teachers to be tuning in and to be playing an active part when we get to that point when they email in or even phone in, maybe, in the future. That's what we want. But also, everyone's been to school, James.
I'm not sure the PodTrack P4 is going to tolerate people phoning in.
No. Well, we're going to have to upgrade.
There is a weird little setting on here, that I think, but that's just someone we know is on the end of a phone that's already set up that we know about. So we could have a guest.
Well, we could do that.
But I don't think we can do phone-ins yet.
We could do a WhatsApp pre-record.
We could. You're
I'm ahead of you.
You're ahead of me.
Well, that's because I've been visioning.
You've been visioning. That's or envisage. I don't know.
But we want. Let me get back to it. You've had your turn.
Look,
and that is that I want it to be, by teachers, for teachers, but also for anybody. We've all been to school. Everyone's been to school. It's a shared experience.
And I said exactly that a few minutes ago.
You might have done, but I don't think you were listening. No.
In fairness.
But I don't want it to be like visions in schools where people think they have literally reinvented the wheel by saying, they want it to be student-centred, or they want the child at the centre. Of course the child's got to be at the centre in a school. I mean, what else should be at the centre, But normally this is said, and this is the point I'm trying to make, by a room full of adults talking about children without actually any real children present and involved in the discussion.
That's a valid... I don't want any children involved in this.
No, I don't want any children involved in this discussion.
That would be awful.
It would be awful.
They're not as funny as they think they are.
No. No, absolutely. As we heard earlier.
Well, yeah, they can absolutely.
But I think, yeah, so we're going to develop that vision and we're going to work with people to develop it. And we don't want it to sound like some of the rubbish I've heard. I once worked at a school that was up the valleys in South Wales. We won't say where, but
I can't say where.
Let's
I
just
don't know. Not heard this story.
Let's just say that keeping the students in the classroom was a struggle,
Right.
back in the 90s.
Still
in particular, coaxing them in off the field from the wacky backy in some cases was a challenge, and their strapline in this place with terrible results and outcomes, terrible teaching. I suppose people were trying their best, but generally speaking, terrible, was caring for others.
Right. I mean, it's a noble ambition.
But one that was to do with education, but also made absolutely no sense, was In Pursuit of Excellence, which just made me think of Chips or whatever it is on the motorbike, sort of pursuing at breakneck speed excellence, which was making its way off into the sort of sunset. With the bi-turbos going, it's just ridiculous. So I think we've got to think for the next episode, what goes beneath, if you like the slogan, the strapline, what goes beneath Ben and James Could Do Better? Is it two middle-aged men marking time in education?
It's not the pursuit of excellence, I know that.
No. It's not caring for others either, although we do.
Sometimes. Right, well, that's, we've now, time has moved on more rapidly than you might imagine.
Wow.
So we've got to move from we've moved from I do to you do.
Yes.
We're going to have to circle back to we do, but the we do bit really is just it's a plenary. That's why I'm going to call it a plenary. So
I don't think plenary should be in the we do, should it?
No, it shouldn't be in the we do. Let's forget the we do.
Barack Roshenshine.
I don't.
He would be.
You've also. It's not.
Is he
Rosenstein. Guildenstern's dead. I don't know about Rosenstein.
No, that's Tom Stoppard.
Right, it is. Anyway,
this gilet's getting on my nerves.
It's getting on my nerves, so I'm having to look at it. Anyway,
it's shimmering and slinking. I don't know, whatever you call it.
Let's forget we do. It's time for the plenary.
Okay.
Before we sign off.
I mean, I suppose the sign-off is we're signing off. It's a joy to be talking to our listener.
Now, you can't see, I object to the term listener there.
Do you? Okay. Why?
Because I can conceive of a world in which no one listens to this podcast. I can conceive of a world in which not many people listen to this podcast.
I don't want to conceive of it.
I can conceive of a world where lots of people listen to this podcast. What I cannot conceive of is a world in which one person and one person alone religiously listens to this podcast.
The loyalty of that one person. Absolutely. No, I can't envisage that either. Sir.
Yes?
The bell's just gone.
The bell is for me, not for you.
Oh, not that again. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
But in fairness, it does that does denote the end of this week's podcast.
And it is still said.
It is still said.
The world over, isn't it?
Even though there's often not a bell.
I know.
It's still
the time
said.
when the bell used to be.
So it's whatever. It's 10 o'clock. I know.
I know the time, thank you.
The clock is for me, not for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Frankly.
That's for me to know.
But the clock is currently telling us that we have not overstayed our welcome, but it's time to wrap things up.
But it is your time, not mine, isn't it?
It's
that you're wasting?
No, it's your time that we're wasting.
Gosh.
In fact, I really feel quite strongly it's our listeners' time that we're wasting right now.
Actually, that's absolutely true.
It's time to sign off. We will be back soon, conventionally, in a week or so, I'd imagine. Timetabled.
Unless you're gorging this all at once.
Feel free to do so. If there's multiple episodes available, why not?
Absolutely.
Experience them all. But that is the end of this episode. So I have been James.
I have been Ben.
And that was Ben and James Could Do Better. And I think it's clear that we could.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.